Welcome in Education Success. Today we will see short questions on ethical hacking. Define ethical hacking. Ethical hacking is when a person is allowed to hack the system with the permission of the product owner to find weaknesses in a system and later fix them. Ethical hacking is the legal and authorized attempt of penetrating a computer system or network to find security loopholes and successfully exploit them. What is CIA triad? CIA triad stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability, also known as the CIA triad. It is a model designed to guide policies for information security within an organization. Next question is, which are the types of ethical hackers? There are three main types of ethical hackers: white hat hacker, black hat hacker, and grey hat hacker. White hat hackers, also known as ethical hackers, they never intend to harm a system. Rather, they try to find out weaknesses in a computer or a network system as a part of penetration testing and vulnerability assessment. Second type is black hat hacker. It is also known as crackers. Are those who hack in order to gain unauthorized access to a system and harm its operations or steal sensitive information. Next type is grey hat hacker. Grey hat hackers are a blend of both black hat and white hat hackers. They act without malicious intent but for their fun. They exploit a security weakness in a computer system or network without the owner's permission or knowledge. Next question is, define the term adware. Adware means advertising software. It is the term used for various pop-up advertisements that show up on your computer or mobile device. Adware is a software designed to force pre-chosen ads to display on your system. Define the term backdoor. A backdoor or trapdoor is a hidden entry to a computing device or software that bypasses security measures such as logins, passwords, protections. Define the term attack. An attack is an action that is done on a system to get its access and extract sensitive data. Define the term bot. A bot is a program that automates an action so that it can be done repeatedly at a much higher rate for a more sustained period than a human operator could do it. Next question is, what do you mean by brute force attack? A brute force attack is an automated and simplest kind of method to gain access to a system or website. It tries different combination of users and passwords over and over again until it gets in. What is a buffer overflow attack? A buffer overflow is a flaw that occurs when more data is returned to a block of memory or buffer than the buffer is allocated to hold. A buffer overflow attack typically involves violating programming languages and overwriting the bounds of the buffers they exist on. Define the term DOS. Denial of service. DOS stands for denial of service attack. Is a malicious attempt to make a server or a network resource unavailable to users, usually by temporarily interrupting or suspending the services of a host connected to the internet. Define the term exploit. Exploit is a piece of software or a chunk of data or a sequence of commands that takes advantage of a bug or vulnerability to compromise the security of a computer or network system. Which are the types of password attacks? Password attacks are like brute force attack, dictionary attack, credential stuffing. What is password spraying attack? Password spraying is also known as password spray attack. Is when an attacker uses common passwords to attempt to access several accounts on one domain. Define the term spyware. Spyware is a software that aims to gather information about a person or organization without their knowledge, and they may send such information to another entity without the consumer's consent, or that asserts control over a computer without the consumer's knowledge. What is impersonation? Impersonation is the act of pretending to be someone else or intentionally copying another person's characteristics. What do you mean by vulnerability? A vulnerability is a weakness which allows a hacker to compromise the security of a computer or network system. What is physical addressing? Physical addresses identifies a physical location of required data in a memory. The user never directly deals with the physical address but can access its corresponding logical address. What is the network addressing? Network addressing is the process of assigning unique identifiers to devices on a network, such as IP address, to facilitate communication between devices. What is private address and public address? A public IP address is a unique IP address assigned to your network router by the Internet Service Provider and can be accessed directly over the Internet. A private IP address is a unique address that your network router assigns to your device. It is used within a private network to connect securely to other devices. Enlist the common ports with protocols which is used in ethical hacking. There are number of ports used in ethical hacking. Port number 2021 is used for file transfer protocol. Port 22 is used for secure shell. Port 23 for telnet. Port 25 for SMTP, that is simple mail transfer protocol. Port 53 for DNS, that is domain name service. Port 80 for HTTP, that is hypertext transfer protocol. Port 110 for POP, post office protocol 3. Port 123 for network time protocol. Port 139 for server message block over net bias. Port 161 for SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. Port 339 for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. Port 443 for Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. Port 445 for server message block. Port 3389 for remote desktop protocol. Write any two names of tools used in the hacking. Metasploit and Nmap. Metasploit is a powerful penetration testing framework used to exploit vulnerabilities in the system. And Nmap is a network scanning tool that helps hackers to discover hosts and services on a network. What is Nmap? Nmap is a free open source network scanning tool. That's a key tool for ethical hackers and penetration testers. What is reconnaissance? Reconnaissance is a process of gathering information about the target system to identify vulnerabilities and potential attack routes. It is also known as footprinting. Which are the types of reconnaissance? There are two types of reconnaissance: active reconnaissance and passive reconnaissance. Active reconnaissance means it directly interacts with the computer system to gain the information. And in passive reconnaissance, it does not directly connected to a computer system. This process is used to gather essential information without ever interacting with the target system. Next question is, what is OSINT? OSINT stands for Open Source Intelligence, which is the process of collecting and analyzing public data to generate actionable intelligence. OSINT is a collection and analysis of data gathered from open sources. OSINT, it is a method of gathering information from public or other open sources. Which are the sources of OSINT? There are number of sources of OSINT like public record, news media, libraries, social media platform, images, video, websites, the dark web. What is enumeration? Enumeration is extracting a system's valid username, machine name, share name, directory names, and other information. Enlist the types of enumeration. There are four types of enumeration: net bias enumeration, SNMP enumeration, DNS enumeration, and LDAP enumeration. What do you mean by net bias enumeration? Net bias is a protocol that allows devices on a network to share resources and communicate with each other. So, net bias enumeration is querying a device to identify what net bias resources are available. What is SNMP? SNMP means Simple Network Management Protocol. It allows devices to be managed and monitored remotely. In ethical hacking, SNMP enumeration is accessing a device to determine what SNMP resources are accessible. SNMP is an Internet Standard Protocol for collecting and organizing information about managed devices on IP networks and for modifying that information to change device behavior. What do you mean by LDAP enumeration? LDAP is a protocol that allows devices on a network to share information about users and resources. LDAP enumeration is querying a device to identify what LDAP resources are available. What do you mean by NTP enumeration? NTP is a protocol that allows devices on a network to synchronize their clocks with each other. NTP enumeration is querying a device to identify what NTP resources are available. Define shell. A shell is a software that acts as an intermediary between user and kernel. A shell is a program that interprets our command and gives the written commands to the operating system. A shell acts as an interface between the user and the operating system. Enlist some popular shells: Bash, sh, dash, Bourne, and corn. These are the some popular shells. What do you mean by bind shell? Bind shell have the listener running on the target and the attacker connects to the listener in order to gain a remote shell. What do you mean by reverse shell? Reverse shell have the listener running on the attacker and the target connects to the attacker with a shell. What is Metasploit? Metasploit is world's leading open source penetrating framework used by security engineers as a penetration testing system and a development platform that allows to create security tools and exploits. Which are the components of Metasploit? Metasploit have many components, but most popular components are exploits, payloads, and auxiliaries. An exploit is a piece of code that takes advantage of vulnerability in a system. A payload is a piece of code that runs through the exploit, and an auxiliaries are modules that helps us to perform custom functions other than exploiting a system. What is the exploit? An exploit is a piece of code that takes advantage of a vulnerability in a system. What is payload? A payload is a piece of code that runs through the exploit. What is auxiliary? Auxiliaries are modules that help us to perform custom functions other than exploiting a system. What is misconfiguration? Misconfiguration in ethical hacking are errors or oversights in security protocols that can lead to data breaches. What is a manual exploitation? Manual exploitation refers to the process of identifying and exploiting security vulnerabilities in computer systems or networks through manual methods without relying on automated tools or scripts. Which are the steps of manual metasploit? 5 steps in a manual metasploit. First one, launching MSF console. Second, searching module. third, using module, fourth, setting options, and fifth, exploiting. What do you mean by password attack? A password attack is simply when a hacker tries to steal your password. Which are the types of password attacks? There are 6 types of password attacks: phishing, man in the middle attack, brute force attack, dictionary attack, credential stuffing, and keyloggers. What is phishing? Phishing is when a hacker posing a trustworthy party sends you a fraudulent email, hoping you will reveal your personal information voluntarily. What is man in middle attack? Man in middle attack are when a hacker or compromised system sits in between two uncompromised people or systems and deciphers the information they are passing to each other, including passwords. What do you mean by keylogger attack? Keyloggers are a type of malicious software designed to track every keystroke and report it back to the hacker. Which are the types of brute force attacks? Types of brute force attacks are: first, simple brute force attack; second, dictionary attack; third, credential stuffing; fourth, reverse brute force attack; fifth, hybrid brute force attack; sixth, password spraying; and seven, botnets. What do you mean by password spraying attack? A password spraying attack is a type of brute force attack where a malicious actor attempts the same password on many accounts before moving on to another one and repeating the process. What is privilege escalation? A privilege escalation attack is a cyber attack to gain illicit access of elevated rights, permissions, entitlements, or privileges beyond what is assigned for an identity, account, user, or machine. This attack can involve an external threat actor to an insider threat. Privilege escalation is usually involves going from a lower permission account to a higher permission one. Privilege escalation is a form of hacking that involves the misuse of access rights in order to gain higher privileges than authorized. Which are the types of privileges escalation? There are 2 types of privilege escalation: horizontal privilege escalation and vertical privilege escalation. What is horizontal privilege escalation? Horizontal privilege escalation involves gaining access to the rights of another account, human or machine, with similar privileges. This action is referred as account takeover. What is vertical privilege escalation? Vertical privilege escalation is also known as privilege elevation attack. Vertical privilege escalation is a type of attack in ethical hacking where an attacker gains access to higher level privileges on a system. Define sudo. In Linux, sudo means super user do. It is a command enables condition based privileges elevation for user accounts. What is privilege escalation attack? A privilege escalation attack is a cyber attack to gain illicit access of elevated rights, permissions, entitlements, or privileges beyond what is assigned for an identity, account, user, or machine. What is the full form of SUID and SGID? On Linux, SUID means set user ID. It is a special permission for the user. And SGID means set group ID. Describe Linux privilege escalation. There are 4 types of Linux privilege escalation. First one, Linux privilege escalation sudo. Second, Linux privilege escalation through kernel. Third, Linux privilege escalation with SUID. And fourth, Linux privilege escalation with misconfiguration. What is pivoting? The act of an attacker moving from one compromised system to one or more other systems with the same or other organizations. Which are the types of pivoting? Pivoting can be grouped into two types: proxy pivoting and VPN pivoting. Proxy pivoting, this commonly explains the process of diverting traffic through a compromised target by applying a proxy payload on the machine and introducing attacks from the computer. Second, VPN pivoting. This allows the attacker to generate an encoded layer to tunnel into the weakened machine to traverse any network traffic using that target machine to run a vulnerability assessment on the internal network through the undermined machine. What is OWASP? OWASP means Open Web Application Security Project. It published the top 10 security vulnerabilities. It represents a broad consensus about the most critical security risks to web applications. OWASP or Open Web Application Security Project is an international non-profit organization online community dedicated to a web application security. List down OWASP's web application vulnerabilities. The OWASP top 10 represents the most critical web application security flaws or risks that are: first, injection attacks; second, broken authentication; third, sensitive data exposure; fourth, XML external entities, that XEE; fifth, broken access control; sixth, security misconfiguration; 7, cross site scripting; 8, insecure deserialization; 9, using components with known vulnerabilities; 10, insufficient login and monitoring. What is injection attack? Injection attack happen when untrusted data is sent to a code interpreter through a form input or some other data submission to a web application. What is SQL injection? SQL injection is a code injection technique used to execute malicious SQL statements. SQL injection is a web security vulnerability that allows an attacker to interfere with the queries that an application makes to its database. SQL injection, also known as SQLI, is a common attack vector that uses malicious SQL code for backend database manipulation to access information that was not intended to be displayed. A SQL injection manipulates structural query language code to provide access to protected resources such as sensitive data or execute malicious SQL statements. What is cross-site scripting? Cross-site scripting, that is XSS, is a web security vulnerability that allows attacker to inject malicious scripts into a trusted website. What is subdomain enumeration? Subdomain enumeration is a process of identifying all subdomains for a given domain. List down types of 802.11 attacks. Types of 802.11 attacks are packet sniffing, rough access points, Wi-Fi phishing and evil twins, spoofing attacks, encryption cracking, MITM attacks, DOS attacks, Wi-Fi jamming. What is packet sniffing? Packet sniffing involves intercepting and analyzing the data packets that are transmitted over a wireless network. This attack can be used to capture sensitive information such as email messages, instant messages, and web traffic. What is rough access point? It refers to any unauthorized access point on a network. It can be created by an attacker or even a misinformed employee. What is evil twinning attack? An evil twinning attacker gets the wireless access point and configure it as the existing network. What is bluejacking attack? Bluejacking involves sending unsolicited messages to a Bluetooth enabled device. This attack can be used to send spam, phishing messages, or malwares to the victim device. Kindly like, share, and comment on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe the channel so you will get updated videos. Next question is, what is SMF spoofing attack? SMF spoofing involves sending text messages that appear to come from a trusted source, such as a bank or a government agency. What is malware? Malware is a software designed to infect a device or steal information data, to steal or damage data. Malware can be distributed through a email attachment, software downloads, or malicious websites. What is WPA? WPA stands for Wi-Fi Protected Access. It is a security standard for computing devices equipped with wireless internet connections. WPA was developed by the Wi-Fi Alliance to provide more sophisticated data encryption and better use authentication than wired equivalent privacy WEP, the original Wi-Fi security standard. What is evil twin attack? An evil twin attack takes place when an attacker sets up a fake Wi-Fi access point, hoping that user will connect to it instead of a legitimate one. When users connect to this access point, all the data they share with the network passes through a server controlled by the attacker. What do you mean by traffic analysis? Traffic analysis refers to inspecting the captured or stored Wi Fi traffic to gather information regarding clients, access points, and their activities. Define sniffing. Sniffing is the technique used to monitor and record all the data packets continuously that go through a network. Define network sniffing. Network sniffing, also known as packet sniffing or network packet analysis. It is the process of capturing and inspecting data packets as they travel across a computer network. It is a passive unique technique that monitors network communication, decodes protocols, and examines headers and payloads for information of interest. What is the difference between phishing and vishing? Phishing uses email and links. Vishing uses text messages or common messaging apps. And vishing or voice or VoIP phishing uses voice calls and voice mails to obtain the sensitive information. Thank you for watching this video. Kindly subscribe the channel so you will get more updated videos. Thank you.